Hello, welcome. So today we're going to learn everything you need to know in setting up a favicon in a WordPress website. So we're going to break this into 5 different stages. Number 1, we're going to learn and understand what a favicon is. Number 2, we're going to understand the color contrast between a dark theme and a bright theme for a tab of a browser relating to favicons. Number 3, we are going to understand the dynamics behind making a choice in a favicon shape or style or color. And the 4th, we are going to learn how to create a favicon with icons and in Adobe tools. And finally, we are going to learn how to apply these favicons in our WordPress website. So number 1, what is a favicon? A favicon is simply these icons you find at the top bar of your browser. We call these tabs. Tabs are different locations for different URL. So when you see a particular website, you find a favicon that actually represents that website. So in practical sense, favicons are used in representing websites. So when you see this website clustered all around at the top edges, you understand that this is Webflow, this is Kenix Store, this is FreePick, this is Unsplash, without hovering or without checking out the URL. So it is the private or personal identity of a website, which makes it easier for people to decode the website without reading the words. Okay, so that's what a favicon is. Now we're going to test out these favicons we have currently without creating one, so we understand the difference between a favicon that is compatible on both black and bright background and a favicon that is only compatible for bright background, and how to avert those issues. So first, to do that, we need to head into our settings inside Google Chrome, and we're using Google Chrome for this, by the way. So click on these settings, then head over to this part that says extensions. Hit on that. Get to this particular down lower side that says Chrome Web Store. Click on that and we'll be led to the Chrome Web Store. So this is where we can install themes, we can install plugins, all of these stuffs that we're using here, though we'll be having a next tutorial when we talk about some other plugins or extensions available in Chrome for web designers and graphic designers. So for this one, we are going to change the theme. So as you can see from the heroes header, click on the theme section and we're going to see all theme styles we can find from here. We can get collections, we can go to minimalistics if we want very, very minimalistic theme types. So but what we want from here, we already see how these favicons work on a dark theme. As you can see from the top layer, let me zoom very closely. Google scores perfectly well on a dark background. Gmail scores perfectly well, AdSense scores perfectly well, Seller scores perfectly well, and all of these scores perfectly well. Okay, we have this particular one called On Blast, and On Blast is a white logo, and I'm wondering how this will look on a bright background. And this is why we have the contrast test, because some persons might be using their browser with a bright background. So it's perfect for you to check and make sure your favicon works best on both bright and dark background. I hope you get the point and you get the reason why we are doing this test. So let's get things into test. So we want to change with this particular bright theme. So we click on that theme we want and we click on Add to Chrome. So wait a little bit for the theme to populate. Automatically it's populated and we can see what we have from there. So let's get back from here. We can easily switch back to our dark theme from this part. Let's just get dark or black theme. Very good. So now, as you can see, Google Chrome performs okay, but not very, very okay. All of these ones, because of the yellow here, the contrast doesn't work fine on a bright background. You get the point. This particular lemon green don't perform well for Printify. It doesn't perform perfectly well. But Kata Studios Academy performs perfectly well, both on bright background and on dark background. Manage WP perform perfectly well. Kenix Store perform perfectly well. Webflow perform perfectly well. And see what happens to Unsplash. It performed perfectly well. And you know why? Because the U and N is what we can see on a black background, but they actually added a backdrop or a kind of square and added the logo inside it. That makes it easier for it to shine. These other ones acted perfectly well. All these acted perfectly well. This one here, I don't even know what that is. It doesn't show well. I can only see the green and the red one on a dark background. I can't find the A in the middle. So you see how these things performed at this particular extent. And this is the problem we want to avert whenever we are trying to create our favicon. And I'm going to show you a very, very simple trick on how to do that with Photoshop without trying to switch your theme from here to there. So let's try to switch to a dark theme again. So we add this. I don't really like this theme, but let's just see. Okay, if we don't want this theme we used before, we can undo the theme we used. Okay, we did that mistake. We would have undone from the previous one we selected. Let's find another dark theme. I like just black all through. Okay, let's add this one. So fine, I think this was the one I was using before now, so we are good. So you see everything works very fine. See the one I talked about before now, see what it looks like. YouTube performed very well because red performs perfectly well on black background and red performs perfectly well on black background. But there are kind of red or variants of red that won't perform well on a bright background, which is white color. I hope you understand that. Purple perform perfectly well, but we had to use a gradient from here, which will be among the tools will be the tricks I will be teaching you guys. On splashes, you can see we can't find the black box guiding the main logo because it's also, they already knew people might check this on a black background, so they just have to add that in. I hope you get the trick. You understand the basic things from there. So we've understand what a favicon is, the function of a favicon, and understand the contrast issue a favicon might pose. So now let's get into creating a simple favicon. So to create a favicon, we can do that with Photoshop or Illustrator. So let's try first with Photoshop. Create a new layout. And we're going to create this with a 1000 times 1000 pixel. Fine. Okay. So we have this square as it is. Now it is time for us to add our logo inside of it. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Let's find a logo from online. So I'll be dropping this link in case you don't find a logo of your clients. Though we're going to talk about that in a little while on how to extract logo styles for your favicons. Now let me just get straight to that immediately. So for instance, your clients have a name and they have an icon. You only use the icon for the favicon, not the icon and the name. Okay? Favicons are just the icon. Just dragging the icon. We're going to do a test from here. Let's not just download. Let's just do a test right away. So we get to projects and let's try 360. So this particular client have this logo with the name. Let's find the particular variant of this logo that's very good. So we have this one, you see. So what you need to do is to remove the name from here and leave only the logo icon. So how we do that, you can stretch this in a little bit and we use the eraser tool to erase. We find the eraser tool from here, click right click option. If you haven't watched the Photoshop tool tutorial, go watch the Photoshop Beginners tutorial so you can get acquainted with what's going on here. So erase all of this and we have only this icon left. So what you need to do, you pull it to the center and we expand it and make sure it touches all edges. Now, your favicon, if you are not putting any background to it, it needs to touch all edges. But if you want to put a black background around it, just like Unsplash did theirs, what you need to do is to make sure the icon stays in between and have some padding around it. So this will be very perfect for what we want. So we're going to save this as our number one sample or specimen, and we are going to save this. Okay, we're going to save this as PNG. Click on this, save it as either JPG or PNG, whichever one you want to save it with, it will work. Okay, fine, we saved one. Now if we remove this background, we are trying to save this image content as a PNG, but we need to expand this. This is one that we want to use without any background, like Kata Studios Academy logo favicon. So this particular one now, see, as we do look at how Kata Studios Academy logo look like, you see it something like this. You get, we have these stuffs around, and we can just plug it in and we are good to go. Just drag this one in to these parts, and we extend this, and we extend this, and we are good to go. Just export this as PNG and your favicon is ready. Okay, that's one other way to do it. So in this one, we will not be able to get this as what we want. If you want to create this as a favicon, it won't work. There are multiple ways you can do this and make it work. If this particular logo icon was just the eyes, just this particular gradient of color, they can work on a black or bright background. Now let's test this on a bright background. Let me show you how to check your logo if it works, the favicon, if it works on a bright background. So you select the background itself and unhide this, double click on that edge and select on color overlay. So from here, we're going to switch this to bright background. Let's switch this to edge. I'm going to switch this to bright background. I see. You see, we lost those signs that makes it its logo. So it is best advisable that we go just black and we constrain the logo to the middle. Okay, fine. Just constrain the logo to the middle like so, and you are good to go. Now there is something else you might do. For instance, this logo icon here, if it is very important, if it is black and this circle is black too, it then means that this particular layout, we need to change this to a white color. Why we do that is because I'm going to show you why we do that, and we're going to replace that too. See, why we do that is because we want to actually make sure that we show the main logo shapes perfectly well. So if the client sent you a logo that have more of black background, or is showing, what you need to do is to import the logo and confirm which background the logo shows on. You can create two background, black background and white background, and confirm which background the logo is more appropriate in. And if it is on a bright background, you know what to do. If it's on a white background, you know also what to do. But for this one, it works well because if it have more of bright colors, white especially in the logo icon, remember it's only the logo icon we'll be using. White, especially in the logo icon, make sure you use a black background. So now we've used a black background from here and we already saved it. But logos like this, you don't even need a black background. Just this logo as it is, it can work on its own because it already have its shape. But this one doesn't have any shape and we can go with this. So fine, this is basic. This is not for core graphic designer. This is for basic designers, just to make sure you stay stable while you are presenting your concepts. So you don't present a concept that doesn't even make any sense to anyone. So that is good for what we want. So now let's get into adding our icon. Though you can still get icons from icon environments like a Flaticon. You can go over here, flaticon.com, click on the icons, then you can search whatever icon you want to search. For instance, the brand is dealing with palm tree or farm products. You can type 3. Okay, you mustn't use the icon of the brand. You mustn't use the icon of the brand for the favicon. You can use a particular object, an icon object that represents the objective of the brand or whatever the brand stands for. So for instance, the brand deals with more of farm plants. You can select a 3 from here. We can save this as PNG. Okay, we save it. Now look at what we're going to do. This one, we don't even need to put a background. Just place it in there, expand it. Okay, expand this other one. Fine. We hit on enter and we can hide the both of them. Select the tree, double click, and we want to change the color right now. So we select on this and we have to select a color that works on a bright background and a dark background. So we play around with our color from here. Now there is something you can do from here. You can select on this layout, this particular layer, and duplicate it. We have one for the right, which is the bright background. We have one for the left, which is the bright background. So let's double click on this one and change this color to white. Okay, this is the trick I use sometimes. So now we can see that the color works on a black background and also work on a bright background. So we can also test other colors relating to this particular brand. For instance, if we go a little bit lemon, let's go a little bit lemon green, go up a little. You see, it's having a problem in a white background, but it works well on a black background. So we make sure we stay stable with a color that works for both background. And once we are good with what we want, we can hide these two and we save our file as PNG. So this one that have transparent, that will hide the backgrounds. Now we need to save it as PNG. Okay, remember we just saved our first one, which is JPG. We saved it as PNG, which is the one that have shapes. Then the logo is inside, but the logo have some padding around so that it can allow it shine. But this one we didn't create that particular effect in this one. So we're going to use the two of them so we can test out and see how it feels. So we go to the website to apply it, which is the fourth variant or fourth level of what we are doing. What you need to do is to get over to your WordPress. Okay, hover over appearance. In appearance, we are going to let's go over to this WordPress. Hover over appearance and you see customize. Click on customize. Okay, once you get into customize, click on site identity. Then here you see the logo you can apply. You can select, you see the option to select, but if you have already selected, you need to click on change image. So from here, we need to add the images which we just added. So we just have to select the two of them because we want to test on the both of them. So we apply the two of them. We select the first one, which is the one of black. Okay, let's just select this one that works on both backgrounds. So we click on OK and we click on crop. Fine, good. As you can see, automatically it applies, and we can see that on this particular layout. If we change this to a white background from here, you will see it will work perfectly well. That's one thing to consider. I'm going to still teach you another thing to consider when applying a favicon. So we're going to select the second one and apply, and we click on crop and still see how that works. Fine, perfectly well. As you can see from here, it works perfectly well. It's close to what we want, and we are good with that. Okay, now very importantly, what I want to point out very clearly here is favicons are very tiny elements. They are not like the main logo. Okay, that's why in most cases you may not practically use the main logo icon, because sometimes the main logo icon might be complex with a lot of details in it. It's not going to shine in the favicon layout. As you can see from here, all we find from here, this particular one here that have too much details, you can't even enjoy it. You don't even understand. If I zoom out, you can't even understand what's going on there. So favicons are icons that you need to use that are going to shine even from, they are scalable. It's something that from afar someone can recognize that this is what the brand stands for. It's not directly an identity of the brand, but it is something that people can point out to identify the brand website itself from the tabs. To separate it from the rest of them, you need a favicon. So once you're done, click on publish and we are good to go. So select a favicon style that works perfectly well for what you need it for. Test it out. As you can see from Kata Studios favicon, see how bold it is. From afar, you can see and read clearly what that is. So that drops us to the end of this tutorial. I hope you understand everything about this. This is not just about how to apply favicon and that is it. No, this also points out the little details you need to understand about color contrasts and favicon themes, and also how to create favicon from client logos, and also how to extract favicons from external icon websites like Flaticon. Okay, once again, my name is Manuel. I'll meet you in the next one.